All right. Draw. Solve the triangles. That means you must find all the angles and all the sides. So, what do we have available to us to find these things? All right. 1, we have Sohcoa. That allows us to find sides by using sine, cos, and tan. It allows us to find angles by using shift sine, shift cos, and shift tan. What else do I have? I have Pythagoras. Does Pythagoras help us find angles? No. Pythagoras is only for sides. But I also have the fact that triangles are supplementary. What does that mean again? Supplementary? Anyone? 30 brains? Supplementary. Nothing? Okay. The angles add to 180. So that fact allows us to find angles. Now, these mathematical tools are all available to every one of you. Okay? The order you choose to solve triangles in is dependent upon what you need in that triangle. Do you understand what I'm saying? I have a method that, or not a method, I have an order that I would do this triangle in. Do you necessarily need to follow that same order? No, of course not. All right? So this is, when we get to questions like this, where there's more than one method of doing it, then if you don't really know what you're doing, some people get a little, not confused, but they start to do exactly the way I do it in my order, and then I give them a different triangle that order won't work on, and then they say they don't know how to do it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So before you even attempt to solve a triangle or a word problem or anything, you really have to decide what you're going to do in that case before you do it, right? So I would look at this and I would try to say to myself, what is it that I need in order to solve this? What must I find? And what I like to do is I like to put all my variables, the things I need to find, on the drawing. Okay? So I need this side, and I know this side is little c because it's across from big C, yes? And I need this side, which is little b, because it's across from big B, yes? And I need angle C right here, right? So I'm going to go ahead and put a big C in there. Now I can use all of these tools to find those three things. Okay? Now, of those three things, what's the easiest one to find right now? The angle, I find, right? Because the angle is just 90 minus 65, right? So C equals 25. I'm halfway there. Now, in case you're a little confused by that, of course, triangles are 180. I lose this 90, and I lose this 65 to get 25. Is everyone okay with that? All right. Now, here is the way I like to do this. I like to use the angle that is written on the triangle already. I'm not going to use 25. I'm going to use the 65. Do you have to do it that way? Of course not. That's just the way I like to do it. And then I do everything the way I already know how to do it, because trig is just like all other math. If the rules work once, it always works. So I have a theta of what value? 65, because I'm going to use 65. Could you use the 25 if you wished? Yes. What's the only angle there you can't use? 90. So I'm going to use 65. Now, if 65 is where I'm starting, then all my opposites and adjacents must be from this point of view, yes? So from this point of view, what do I have? An opposite, adjacent, or an hypotenuse? I have an opposite. I have an opposite of 41. What do I need? I need an adjacent, which in this case is little c, and I need an hypotenuse, which in this case is little b. So I have an O, I have a theta, I need an A and an H. So what trig should I use? What's the only one I can't use? I cannot use cos, because cos needs an A and an H, and those are what I need. So cos is out right away. So I can use sine or tan. Okay, so tan theta equals O over A, correct? So now fill it in. What's your theta? 65. What's your O? 41. And your A is little c, right? When the letter's on the bottom, what do? What's the shortcut? You divide. You just switch the two, right? Now, some of you are still a little dodgy on that. You can't remember when you divide and when you multiply. That's okay, right? Because all you got to do is remember algebra, which you do know how to do, don't you? Don't write this down. I'll do it over here in gray. When I was your guys' age, and my math teacher said, you're not allowed to use your calculator until the very end. Okay? We weren't allowed to use a calculator at all until we'd written everything out. So we had to do, I always remembered it this way. I wrote this down. 5 equals 10 over 2. Always. And then I would use that to solve this, right? I needed the 2, so it was 10 divided by 5. So in this case, I needed the 2, so it's 41 divided by tan 65. Okay? So in my class, we had to write 41 over tan 65 before we went to our calculator, or he wouldn't even mark it. Now, obviously, we got smart. We just did the work and then went back, used every calculator for everything, and then went back and wrote 41 over, or 41 over tan 65. And that will give us C, which is what? 19 exactly? 19.11. So let's go with 19.1. Now, once I have C as 19.1, that opens up a whole bunch of options to me, doesn't it? I have two sides. Can I use Pythagoras? Yeah. I am not going to use Pythagoras because this is a trig class, right? I'm going to use trig. So now I've used tan, so I'm going to switch colors to green even though it doesn't show up in green. Now I've got my A of 19.1. So now I need H, and I've got an O. So I'm going to do sine of theta is O over H. Sine of 65 is 41 over B. We know that I've got to do division. And what do I get? $45 point whatever. 2. Now, 45.2. Am I done? I've done all my work, but I have 3 things that a calculator has told me, yes? So I better check if they make sense, right? 19.1 is the shortest side, isn't it? Is it across from the smallest angle? 25 across from 19. Good. 45.2 is the hypotenuse. Is that longer than the other 2 sides? Excellent. So we're still good there. And, of course, it is also across from the biggest angle, which is 90. So I check it all, and I know it's okay. Is everybody good? Now, remember, I did promise you at the beginning of this unit that this unit actually has some real-life applications. We haven't done very many real-life applications, have we? Because we've been doing triangles on a sheet of paper. I mean, these aren't real, right? That's not 41 of anything, is it? Right? But I also gave you the example of those dudes looking through the telescope, making tons of money. That's what this stuff is for. It's for measuring things that you cannot measure. Okay? If I want to put a pipe under a street, it's got to be exact, right? I got to know where it's going, when it's getting there, how it's getting there. Because if I dig up the street and I put the pipe in the wrong spot, that's a bit of a problem, isn't it? That's what these dudes are doing. I mean, think how mad your parents get when there's road work, right? These dudes are doing all the planning so they don't have to stop traffic because they can measure across the street without actually putting down a tape measure. Picking up what I'm putting down? That's where this comes into play. And as always, you got to know how to do it in theory before you can do it in practice. So, I can shut up because really there is nothing more to trig than practice. The only thing, I'll tell you guys, my grade 10 trig lesson was this. The teacher wrote that on the board once and said, do it. Gave us no reasons, gave us no nothing. That was my trig lesson. Sohcoa. You guys have gotten a lot more than that. But it still comes down to now you've got to practice it to make it work. So I'm going to shut up and walk around and help you because, again, there's nothing more I can do. There's no more to trig than Sohcoa. So I'm going to... No. I want you guys working on... I just want to double check something before I officially say this is what I want you doing, lesson 3. Because that hasn't been assigned to you yet. I just got to double check something in your textbook and make sure that all those questions work with your knowledge base right now. 4, 5, 6, that's cool. 10, that's cool. So page 95 is good. And page 101. Yep. 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 Okay. And lesson 3 is good. Or page 101 is good. You guys have all the tools you need to do those sets of work. All right? I believe, if I am not mistaken, that you guys have... Don't start that textbook work yet. Just give me 1 sec. That you guys have, again, if I'm not mistaken, you have this page in your book. Yeah? I'm going to I'm going to release the hounds, so to speak, to borrow from Simpsons again. If you are feeling confident, go ahead and start on your textbook work. Okay? If you're feeling a little like you could see a few more of these, then I'll do some of these from your sheet there on the projector. But I don't want to talk too much about it because some people are going to be working from the textbook. Okay? Is there anybody that feels they would like me to do a few of these up here? Or does everybody feel they can just, they're ready to go? You want to see a few up here? Whatever then. Go. This is that time when I start walking around and 20 million people are going to have questions. But whatever. Yep, please do.